Okay. Next up, we have standard form. Okay, let's pull up the questions here. Okay. In standard form, we're going to have questions that look like this. We'll have a form which looks like a times 10 power n. Now, what is a and what is n, sir? I'll explain. Firstly, a is any, you could say, number between 1 and 10. It can also be a decimal. It can be a decimal. Okay. Then, secondly, n is the power of 10. It has to be whole numbers. Okay, now what does that mean? Let's see. Let me pull up the questions here. Standard form, yeah, got it. Firstly, let's say I have this question. Question number 1. Write 45,000 in standard. This would be a 1 mark or maybe a 2 mark if it's a difficult number, but generally it's just a 1 mark question. Now, if you have 45,000, how do you convert it? Again, we'll first write down 45,000. The first step is we have to write down a decimal point at the very end. So we have a decimal point at the very end. Again, it's not making a difference because 45,000 and 45,000.0 is the exact same thing. Okay, makes sense. Now, we're going to take this decimal point back until we get a number that is between 1 and 10, because that's what we need a to be, a number between 1 and 10, even if it's a decimal. So I take it back 1, 2, 3, 4 places. When I take it 4 places back, what do I get? I get 4.5. Okay, so that's a number between 1 and 10. Now, how do I find out what's the power of n, sir? Okay, the number of places that we took the decimal point back is the number that we'll put on n. So we took it back 1, 2, 3, 4 places back. Okay, so that's going to be 10 to the power of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? Okay, let me give you one question here. Not 61. Let's say 61,101 and 2 in standard form. Okay, do this. So firstly, tell me what's the first step? After, okay, so 11012 decimal here, then so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we got 6, and what do we write after 6? Just okay. Now this is the key thing I have to explain first. That in the case above, we had 45,000, so it does not matter if I wrote 4.50000. It's still going to be the same as 4.5. But in the case when you have a number like this, you have to write each and everything. So you would write down 6.1012, then times that by 10 to the power of, you would have 5. Yeah. But we have to ask ourselves, okay, so how do I differentiate that when do I have to write these numbers and when do I don't have to? Well, you have to ask, does the number that I had before like if I put a decimal point between like over here and I write these numbers, does that make any difference in the actual number? For example, 45,000, did it make any difference if I write 4.5 or 4.5000? No, it would do the exact same thing. But in this case, if I just wrote 6.1 and did not write 6.11012, those are not the exact same numbers. So if that's not the case, then we have to write down every single number that's in there. Does that make sense? Okay. Now that's that. Now let me first do a different type of question. We discussed that if I have to take the decimal point on the left side, what if I have to take it to the right side? Now, what do I do in that case? Well, let's say I have 0.000316 in standard form, let's write SF. Now, what do I do in this case? Well, again, the steps are the exact same. You have to take a decimal point somewhere that we get a number between 1 and 10. But when we take it to the left and we take it to the right, they both have different rules. Well, what do you mean, sir? Well, if I take 0.000316, I'll have to take it one place, 2, 3, 4, place it to the right. Okay, that'll give me 3.16 times 10 to the power of, not 4, negative 4. So when I take the decimal place to the left side, the power is positive. Let me also write that down. And if we take it to the right side, the power is going to be negative. Does that make sense, Ines? Okay. When we take the decimal place to the right, the power is positive or negative. We take it to the left. It is positive. Okay. That is that concept. Now let me write down 2 questions first. Question 4, question 5. Let's say 61.340 times 3.0, and the second one 0.10101. Okay, write these two in standard form. You have the rule with you. Okay, I'm going to give you about 4 to 5 minutes. So firstly, tell me what's the first step that you did for this question? Okay, 6.1340, and you times it by 10 to the power of 1. Yeah, correct. That's good. You could either write 10 power 1 or just 10. Both are correct. And for the second one, okay, so we took it one place forward. That's 1.0101 times 10 to the power of. Yeah, correct. Good. Both of them are correct. Now let's go to the last 2 questions for this. So now you can also get questions like this. They say, okay, just write it down as a standard form. That's a basic paper 1 starting question. But they also give you questions like this. For example, calculate 9 times 10 to the power of 5 divided by 3 times 10 to the power of negative 2. Give your answer. Standard form. Okay, now let's see. It's follow the exact same concept, but there are a few steps. So it's going to be about 2 mark question, maybe a 3 mark. Firstly, let's write down our actual number. So how do we write 9 times 10 power 5 as a normal number? Well, let's write down 9 and 5 zeros. That's the easiest method. The number of the power that we have over here, just write that same number of zeros over here. So we'll have one more here. 9 times 10 to the power of 5, 900,000. Yeah. Okay. Then divided by 3 to the power 10 power negative 2. So again, you're going to have it like 0.03. Yeah, 0.03. Now that's one way. Some might do, okay, I'm going to take this as 900,000 and that as 0.03. But there's an easier way to do this. What's that, sir? Well, if you just go back and don't do anything with the powers, you just take them as they are. So that would be 9 times 10 to the power of 5 and divide them like this. So 3 times 10 to the power of negative 2. Now I can write them both as this, right? 9 divided by 3 times 10 to the power 5 divided by 10 to the power negative 2. Does that make sense, Anis? Okay. Now we do them separately. So 9 times 3 divided by 3, that is 3. Okay. Now we also learned in indices in the chapter of algebra that when you're dividing two numbers and you have, so when you have the same number and you have a division sign in the middle, you're going to subtract their powers. Okay. That means I'll have 10 to the power of 5 minus 2, because the minus that we get in the middle from the division sign is separate to the one that we already have over here. Okay, so in the end, I'll have 3 times 10 to the power of 5 plus 3, 5 plus 2, that's going to be 7, and that will be my final answer. Does that make sense? Okay, I'll give you a question and then it's correct, then we can move on to the last topic. Question number 7. Calculate. And again, don't mistake calculation for estimation. Sometimes they may say calculate and they gave you a decimal number. That does not mean that they're asking you to give them an estimate. So you can't take estimation over here. Times 3. Give your answer. Okay, do this one. You have the above one for reference. Then tell me after 5 minutes. And that would be 54,000. Correct. Okay, then what do we get for 6 times 10 power 3? 6. Close. It will be 6,000. Remember when I said when you have the just a number, you're going to put the amount of zeros as the power that you have. So if you have 3, you're going to put down 3 zeros. So you have 6,000. Okay, no worries. Again, this is a 3-mark question. We're still going to attempt this. So after that, you did for 54,000, you got 54,000 plus 6,000, you got 60,000. Then the next step would be that you have to now convert 60,000 into a standard form. Okay, so if I take 60,000, I'll put the decimal place at the end. I'll go back 1, 2, 3, 4 places. So I got a number that's between 1 and 10. That'll be 6 times 10 to the power of 4, and that would be my answer. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm gonna give you one final question for this. Question number 8 or 7? Okay, 7. Go to the next page. Let's say I have Okay, that's your question. I'll give you again about 5 minutes to it and then tell me. Now, tell me the steps. What was the first step you did? Okay, so that would be 611, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Okay. Again, that's close. I know what you're trying to do, but the thing is, I said before that if you only have one number, like if you only had 6 times 10 power 6, then yeah, then that would make sense. You would put 6 and 6 zeros. But in the case when you have a 0.11 with it, what you will do is you're going to actually take the decimal point forward. That's what we're doing in the first case. Like I'll explain it slowly. That if you have 6.11, okay, it will not make any difference if I write down 1 or if like 340. It's still the exact same thing. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, we discussed before that previously over here, if I go back, when you take the number on the, like when you take the decimal point to the right side, you have a negative power. When you take the decimal point to the left side, you have a positive power. What if we do this exact same thing in reverse? What if I say, okay, if I have 6.11012, I have 10 times power 5. If I want to write down as a normal number, I have to take a decimal point to the right side back. Okay, so if we do the exact same here, I have 6.11 with how many zeros I want. I'm going to take this decimal point 6 places to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that will give me 6, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. Does that make sense? Okay. Then exact same thing with the next question, the next equation over here. So we have 3.11. Okay, 3.11. Let me actually write down above. 3.11. Let's write down, let's say 4 zeros. Again, it does not matter. And we're going to take a decimal point to the right side 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to give me 3, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? Now, the final step is we have to add them on the side. So let's do it over here. 6, 1, or let me make it a bit bigger. 6, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, added with 3, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, we add them. So you would get 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 2, 9. Okay, we got our actual number. Now we still have to give them the answer in standard form. So 9, 9, so 9, 2, 2, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, for standard form again, we write down the decimal point at the end. We have to go to the left side until we get a number that's between 1 and 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that would be 9.22 times 10 to the power of 6. And that would be my answer. Does that make sense, Anais? Okay.